Hello, everybody, and welcome to Finding Your Innergator podcast, where we talk about discipline, relationships, and the habits that release the greatness that is already inside of you. I'm your host, Wright, and I am so glad that you're here. In each episode, we'll explore powerful lessons, real-life stories, and practical strategies to help you live intentionally, build meaningful relationships, and unlock your full potential. But greatness isn't something you stumble into. It's something that is built every single day. So let's get started and begin the journey to finding your innergator. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Wright. I am so glad that you're here at Finding Your Innergator. You know, last week we talked about the first discipline in the entire innergator framework, right? On understanding how to own that day. And that was to get clear. The G, get clear. We talked about how clarity gives you direction. Clarity helps you define what matters most. Clarity helps you identify the priorities that move your life forward. But today we're going to talk about something that separates people who make progress from the people who stay stuck. And that's the second discipline in the Gator framework. Are you stuck? You need to pay attention today. You got clarity? Now it's time to act with discipline, the A. Clarity tells you what matters, but discipline is what actually turns clarity into results. Let's talk about the difference between discipline and motivation. You know, one of the biggest myths people believe is that success comes from motivation. They just think if they get motivated enough, they'll take action. But motivation is unreliable. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you just don't feel like doing the work, taking the action, right? Some days you don't do it. Some days you do feel like it. Motivation is kind of like the tide around here. It comes and goes, right? I personally, and I've shared this many times, I don't think that motivation is what creates the action. Inspiration, my good friend Zan Monroe, many of y'all know Zan Monroe. Zan Monroe told me, 15, 20 years ago, that the word inspiration means to breathe life into. So when you're inspired to do something, you do it. And when you start doing that action, you start seeing results. I think that's what motivates you to do more, right? But again, motivation will come and go. Discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is what carries you forward on the days that motivation disappears. That's why discipline wins every single time. There's a big difference between knowing and doing, right? I found something interesting is that most people already know what they should be doing. They know they should be exercising. They know they should be building relationships. They know they should be focused on their priorities. But knowing and doing are two completely different things. How many times have you had that inside voice saying, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, and there's the other voice that, we'll start it tomorrow. To me, discipline is that bridge, crossing the delta between knowledge and action. It is a commitment to do the right things, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when nobody else is watching. You know, many of you know that I spend a lot of time on the water. When I'm not working, I travel a lot, right? So when I'm home, I reset my mind on the water. I've got my license to be a charter captain here, and I live here at Topsail Island area, and I just love being out there. But here's something about fishing that a lot of people do not realize. Success is really rarely about luck. It's about prep, right? You got to prepare. You got to check the tides. You got to check the weather. You got to make sure your equipment's right. You've got to put the time in and the work in before that boat ever leaves the dock. If you skip that, you'll pay for it later. Something's going to fail on the water. You're not going to be in the right spot where the fish are. You're going to be just guessing. The ocean's a big place. Life works the same way. Success comes from daily disciplines that most people overlook. Now, quick segue. We're going to be releasing a segment in a few weeks. I want to go through the daily disciplines first. But after that, we've got a series entitled Whale Hunting, right? And whale hunting may be you trying to land that big account. Or it may be you trying to accomplish a big dream, a big goal. Whatever your will is, right? But there's 6 steps, and they're great parallels between fishing and between life that we're going to deep dive into. And part of what we just talked about here is preparation, right? And again, success will come from the daily disciplines that most people overlook. If you remember last episode, we talked about writing down those 3 priorities of the day. The discipline is what protects those. The discipline, hear that. You wrote them down. I told you need to protect them. But the discipline is what protects those. The world's going to try and steal your attention every single day. There's so much noise, guys. There's emails, there's meetings, there's distractions, there's unexpected problems. There's all kind of noise. If you're not disciplined about if you're not disciplined about protecting what matters most, I promise you that those priorities are going to disappear before the day is over. Discipline. Acting, right? Act. Discipline means protecting the things that actually move your life forward. You know, something that hit me recently is, I think it was on last episode in the middle of it, I just said discipline isn't about willpower, it's about commitment. But when you're committed to something that matters, discipline becomes easier. When you're clear about where you're going, it's easier to say no to things that don't help you get there. That's where progress starts to compound. Small actions, repeated daily, over time. I've told you, listen, if you want to win the year, you've got to win the quarter. If you want to win the quarter, you got to win the month. If you want to win that month, you got to win the week. And if you want to win that week, you got to win the day. And you figured it out. If I want to win the day, I need to win the hour, which means I need to win the minute. Breaking it down to victories in discipline, small actions repeated daily over time. You've got the clarity. Now it's time to act. You got to let the Innergator show up. That greatness is inside of you. Remember, we talked about this last time, right? Or in episode 1, I believe. Every person who listens to this podcast has greatness inside of them. The greatness is your Innergator. But the Innergator doesn't show up through intention alone. It shows up through action, through discipline, through the daily habits that move your life forward. Here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to pick one discipline, just one. Something small but meaningful. Maybe it's protecting your morning routine. Maybe it's making that important phone call you've been putting off. Maybe it's reconnecting with someone who matters. Whatever it is, I want you right now, commit to it. Show up for it every day this week, because greatness is built through the small disciplines that most people ignore. You start mastering the small. You put a bunch of small together. You got something big, baby. You got something big. Next week, we're going to talk about a third discipline in the entire Innergator framework. Tracking your progress. If you measure something, you can manage it. And if you manage it, you can improve it. Basically, what gets measured gets improved. Until then, I want you to remember this. Clarity, getting clear, that tells you what matters. The action, that discipline, that's what turns those priorities into real progress. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. Thanks, guys. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Finding Your Innergator podcast. If today's episode helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, greatness is achieved through discipline, intentional action, and optimizing the relationships around you. I look forward to getting with you next week. Now, go Gatorize your day.